wanted to come on here to talk about some things that are going on with Ryan and I. I don't really want to talk about it, but I've done a lot of thinking, and I feel like I wouldn't be being honest if I didn't share this, because the whole point of starting this channel was to talk about infertility and to show what infertility looks like, and this is infertility, so I feel like I need to be honest about it. As you all know, my husband and I have been struggling with infertility for 10 years. We had a miscarriage a few years ago, and in 2018 we turned 30. So 2019 came and we were like, this is our year, we're going to get serious about having a baby. We went to a fertility doctor and talked about IVF, and he said that he didn't think we were a good candidate for IVF because there's nothing wrong with us. He did an ultrasound on me and said I'm fine and there's no reason why I shouldn't get pregnant naturally. He did recommend I lose weight. He's right, I need to. So we looked into some ways to conceive naturally. I got a digital ovulation tracker. My friend Courtney recommended these natural prenatal vitamins, and this really sweet lady I go to church with, Phyllis, was telling me about a girl she worked with that struggled with infertility. She used this essential oil and got pregnant within the first month of trying. She asked if I would be interested in using the oil, and I said, sure, why not? So I got my digital ovulation tracker. I was taking my prenatal vitamins and using this oil. And I also cut back on my caffeine intake. So anybody that knows me knows that I am a huge coffee drinker. Like, if you watch Gilmore Girls, I am worse than they are. Like, Lorelai and Rory don't got nothing on me. I drink more than a pot of coffee a day. I drink it from morning to night. It's just, I've done that since I was in high school. I think even before high school, but it's not good that I drink that much coffee, but I always have. And I cut back from that much coffee to 1 cup in the morning. And that's a big decrease in caffeine intake, but I did it. And a few days after the ovulation tracker said that I was at peak ovulation, I started having symptoms. And if you've ever struggled with infertility before, you will know that the minute you start having symptoms, you start pushing it down. You just push it deep down inside of you because you don't want to get your hopes up. Well, the symptoms kept getting stronger, and I thought, I'm just going to go buy some cheap tests at the Dollar Tree because, why not? It's still probably too early to get a positive, so it won't matter if they're just a cheap test. So I go to Dollar Tree and I get all my tests, and I have like 5 of the pink boxes of pregnancy tests, and I'm like hurrying to get through the store. And of course the cashier is like, oh, why do you have so many pregnancy tests? And I'm like taken aback because normally people don't say anything, but of course she did. And I was like, oh, I just, wanted to be sure. And she's like laughing at me, and it was awkward. But I get home and I decide to go ahead and take one, which you don't normally take a pregnancy test in the afternoon because your HCG level is highest in the morning, but I did, and I got a faint positive. But it was so faint that I thought, well, it could just be because this is a cheap test, and who knows if it's actually positive. But for the next few days, I took my Dollar Tree tests, and they all had these faint lines, and I thought, they can't all be faulty and be like evaporation lines or shadow lines. And my symptoms were getting stronger. So I went to Walmart and got some first response tests. And Ryan was in the loop this whole time. He knew that I thought I was pregnant. He knew that I was taking all these tests. He was looking at the lines with me. And I know some people would say, why would you tell him? I mean, why get his hopes up too? But Ryan and I are a team. and we don't keep secrets from each other. And there's no way that I could have kept that I thought I was pregnant from him, especially when we've been going through infertility together for 10 years. And I am glad that I have his support. After I got the first response test, the next morning I woke up and I took one, and I couldn't really see anything on it. So it was a weekend and I was really tired, and I did a few things and I laid down to take a nap. And when I woke up from my nap, I was like, I'm just gonna take another one. So I did, and I got my first real positive pregnancy test. Like, there was no denying that this test was positive. And I was just so excited. And I came into the living room and I showed Ryan and I said, "You're gonna be a dad." And we were just ecstatic. And we decided to tell his parents, and that turned into telling his siblings, and I told my parents and my siblings, and we had some ladies at church that were praying for us and we wanted to let them know, and then some other people at church found out, and a lot more people ended up knowing that we were pregnant than we intended to right off the bat, because we were only 4 weeks when we found out. And I immediately called the doctor to set up a doctor's appointment. With my history of infertility and miscarriage, I wanted to get into the doctor. I have negative blood, and if my blood mixes with the baby's blood, it can cause all different kinds of problems. So I have to get the RhoGAM shot. Well, I called and she said I didn't need the RhoGAM shot unless I was bleeding, because if my blood mixes with the baby, that's what causes problems. Well, at the time I wasn't bleeding. So she was like, "I'm still going to try to get you in earlier, but it'll have to be next week." And I was like, okay. So the middle of the week comes and I decide that I want to take a digital pregnancy test. And I took it and it popped up pregnant, and we were just excited all over again. And I know we already knew we were pregnant, but if you've ever struggled with infertility, you could take a pregnancy test probably throughout your whole pregnancy and get a positive, and it would never get old. It's just always exciting to see that positive test, and especially the digital where the word pops up pregnant. It was just amazing. And by the end of the week, I thought I'm going to take the other digital test, because the two come in a box, just to take it. And I took the test and it popped up not pregnant. And my heart sank, because at that very moment I knew something wasn't right. But I immediately started making excuses, like there's something wrong with the test. It could be because it's in the afternoon. And I decided to go buy some first response tests. And I did buy some first response tests, and I took them every morning up until I went to the doctor, and they just kept getting lighter and lighter. And that Friday that I took the digital pregnancy test and it was saying not pregnant, I had started having back pain. And I had that with my last miscarriage. It started with back pain. The back pain turns into cramping, and the cramping turns into bleeding. My back pain started turning into cramping this time, and the cramping was getting worse. It felt worse than period cramps do, and I knew then that something was wrong. Monday morning, when we were supposed to go to the doctor, I didn't even take a pregnancy test because I woke up and had spotting. And I knew right when I saw that spotting that this wasn't going to be a good pregnancy. But we went to the doctor and they brought us in and they made me do a pregnancy test there, and we sit in the little room forever, and the nurse finally comes in and she goes, "Are you sure that you're pregnant?" And I said, "Well, I was." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, your pregnancy test came back negative." And I just kind of looked at her, and then she says, "Well, have you even been taking pregnancy tests?" And I said, "Yes, I've taken probably 20 of them. Like, I'm not some crazy lady that's sitting in here pretending to be pregnant." She goes, well, I think we're going to send you downstairs for a blood draw. I said, okay. I'd like to talk to the doctor about maybe getting an ultrasound done just to make sure everything's okay. And she said, well, I'll talk to her, but I don't know if they're going to want to do that this early. So she leaves and she comes back. Mind you, I never once saw the doctor. The doctor never once came in and talked to us. And she said, well, the doctor thinks it's too early to do an ultrasound. They don't worry about doing an ultrasound for ectopic pregnancy or anything like that unless you're at least 8 weeks along. Okay. She goes, so we're just going to get your blood drawn. Have a good day. And that was it. They didn't tell me about what to expect, care tips, anything. And they sent me on my way and I got my blood drawn, and they called me later that day and told me my HCG was only at a 9 and that this was not a viable pregnancy. Mind you, they didn't give me the RhoGAM shot, which I know at this time the pregnancy wasn't good, but I read some stuff later that said that even if you're having a miscarriage, you probably should get the RhoGAM shot. So I don't know at this point. It's too late now. But the whole point of this story is we are switching doctors. Obviously, we're looking for a new doctor. So if you all know of a good OB in the Jefferson City, Lake Ozark area, please let us know. We're not going to Capital Region. That's where we were going. We're done. So if you know of anybody anywhere else, we are looking for a new doctor, somebody that's going to be proactive with early pregnancy and people that have a history of reoccurrent miscarriage. So please, if you know somebody, let us know. But infertility is hard, and it's even worse when you have healthcare physicians that are not helpful, that don't care, and are even kind of rude and act like you're stupid. I've been doing this for a long time, and I don't just say I'm pregnant at the drop of a hat. And that's what she made me feel like. She made me feel like some crazy lady that's just coming in there saying she's pregnant but really wasn't. And that's not true. And I have all my pregnancy tests I took, and I'm going to show you guys, but I guess the whole point of this is we were pregnant for 5 weeks. We had that baby. And we loved that baby. And what really makes me sad is a lot of people will argue that 5 weeks, that wasn't a baby. You're wrong. You're so wrong. That was a baby, and we love that baby, and I know that God would agree with me on that. I'm grateful for the time we had. And I'm just trusting God's plan, because even though I really wanted that to work out, I know there's a reason why that it didn't. And I'm just praying that we will find a good doctor, somebody that will be proactive when we find out that we're pregnant next time. Because we are not giving up. I've said it before, and I will keep saying it. I will keep trying to have a baby until the day that it's physically not possible anymore. So this is the ovulation tracker that we've been using. It's the Clear Blue Connected, and it just Bluetooths to the app that you download on your phone. I highly recommend it. Obviously, the first month that Ryan and I used it, it worked for us because we got pregnant. It's definitely very accurate. And if you are struggling with infertility, I would recommend it. And then these are the vitamins that I've been taking. They're the Garden of Life vitamin code. They're supposed to be all natural and really good for you, and I really like them. Like I said, I don't know if this has anything to do with the fact that we did get pregnant, but I started taking these and used this ovulation tracker, and we did get pregnant. And then this is the oil they got me. It's called Progessence Plus, and it's an essential oil. And you just put it on twice a day. And I don't know. These three things I did, along with lowering my caffeine intake, and it seemed to work for us. And I think that that's our plan again this month, is just to use these things and just hope for a healthy pregnancy. Okay, so I'm going to show you all the pregnancy tests I took. This is the one that I took 9 days past ovulation, and surprisingly I got a positive, so it's light, but you can see it in there. And that's pretty early to get a positive, so. But of course I questioned it because it is a cheap Dollar Tree test, and I was like, oh, I don't know, but I mean, there's definitely a line there. And then I took some more cheap Dollar Tree tests, but I'm not going to show you all of them because they look pretty much like that one. The first response test, the first one I took was this one. And you can definitely see the line there. So that was 11 days past ovulation, still pretty early. And then the next day, 12 days past ovulation. I think I took that one in the morning, and then I took this one in the afternoon. Here's the next day. It was getting darker, so I felt really good about this test because that's a pretty dark line. And then I took this one the next day, and it was pretty dark too. And this one I think was my darkest test. And then they started getting, well, I took that one, and then that's when I took the digital test too. So as you can see, it says pregnant. And then this one was still kind of dark. So this was 4 weeks and 5 days pregnant. This was 4 weeks and 6 days. As you can tell, the line's getting lighter again. And this one, that was the last one I took. And you can tell, like, the line's really light. It's like not even all the way filled in. But here's my progression lines. So you can definitely see like where it started off light, which there you go. Started off light, got darker, 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 lighter, almost gone. So yes, for the nurse that asked if I even took a pregnancy test, like I'm some crazy lady that doesn't know what it means to be pregnant, yes, I took pregnancy tests. Unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be.